A new season of GT2 European Series powered by Pirelli bursts into life here at Monza, and we're looking at our biggest ever grid because there are 22 cars set to go racing, which is a major boost for a championship that has ticked along, always just about to break through, but never quite having done so until now. One of the reasons it seems to have really caught to light is the introduction of drivers for the SRO GT Academy. So it's not just aimed at the AMs anymore, it is very much somewhere that a career GT driver can come and find a happy home. And it is one of them, Brandon Oxley, who is going to be on pole position in his Mercedes. David Addison and Joe Osborne are trackside. The grid is a busy one, not only in terms of cars, but also in terms of people. But there are a couple of cars, I noticed, that have been trapped in the pit lane. And so when we do get the formation lap underway, you'll find a couple of drivers are stuck in the pits, looking as though one might be a KTM, one might even be a Ferrari. We'll try and double check where the gaps are on that grid. David Addison and Joe Osborne trackside, and as we were looking at in qualifying, the Monza circuit is one that lends itself to good racing, and these cars, more powerful than a GT3 car, less aero, certainly reward the drivers. We'll get Joe's thoughts on this in due course, but first let's go to the grid. Bryn Lucas is down there, and so is the other half of the pole sitting driver combination. It's Adrian Ferrer, and we can hear from him before we go racing.
Well, a perfect start to the hottest day that I've known in the racing for some time here at Monza, and looking over your shoulder, it really is a great position to start for you both on pole position.
Yeah, I think he and my teammate and I, we have a really good pace to win this race, so let's see. But I think this race is gonna be really good for us.
Yeah, it'll be what it'll be, won't it there? But I mean, obviously, the perfect position on the inside line down to turn one.
I think yes, because, well, T1 is normally crash because it's a really long straight, and in first lap is dangerous. But yeah, I think the good lane is in the inside, and I think, yeah.
I just want to highlight something on your race suit, the SRO GT Academy. You're part of the Academy, and a fantastic prize available as a whole seat for endurance next year in 2027. What a great prize that would be. How much are you thinking about that?
Well, I don't think about that because it pressures me, so I don't want to think about that. So yeah, I apart that thing and I concentrate only on the race.
Well, I'm sorry to remind you. Good luck today. Well done.
Thank you.
Adrian Ferrer, who has raced in the Toyota GR Cup in Spain, but more recently in the Arca Menards NASCAR-style series for Toyota in America. Good to have him back in European racing. Right, gaps on the grid then. There is one of them stretching back. Looks like it's the Ginetta that is missing. And then there is another gap where possibly the KTM of Reinhard Koffler should have been. And also Patrick Michelier. Oh yes, it is 3 gaps on the grid we now got. So we'll try and unravel all of this once we can get the formation lap underway. So Patrick Michelier is there. So yeah, it's Reinhard Koffler's KTM, one of the cars in the pits. We also think that the Alex Berthet CMR Lamborghini is in the pit lane, but I wasn't sure I saw the Ginetta on the grid.
Yeah, didn't have a problem in qualifying. Both Ginettas got to the end.
Yeah.
A-OK. Mike Simpson was slightly slower than we expected. Took him a while to get the lap in, and he just got it in after the red flag. He was the only car that did improve. So, yeah, it's the only one I could think on a tangent. But what a busy grid we've got here now with almost a double the size grid that we had last year. Obviously, the hangers-on and the spectators double as well. Right,
I'll have another go at this. It is not the Ginetta, that is fine. I was looking slightly out of sequence. One car is missing, and that's the number 10, Dominic Albert, Honda Erdem KTM, that is damaged beyond immediate repair, but it should be out for tomorrow. So that's a gap, and then you've got these 2 cars starting in the pit lane. One of them is the KTM, and then behind it is the Alexis Berthet Lamborghini. So I think that's unravelled it. So Ginetta fans, panic not.
Yeah, there's lots of them at home, isn't there? And then, interestingly, it was such a short turnaround from qualifying to here, wasn't it? An hour and a half. So by the time the cars had cleared Parc Fermé, these teams haven't had much time to get ready for this race.
50 minutes, pit window 20 to 30, regulation 140 seconds, and even if you are doing the race on your own, you're still got to get out of the car, close the door, and then open it and jump back in again, just as it would be for a driver change. And therefore, the NM Racing team is Brandon Oxley taking pole position. I'll be intrigued to see how that went down with the other side of the team that did the championship last year. Alberto Di Martin and Neil Montserrat. These whippersnappers arrive and take pole first time out.
Yeah, it'll always be competitive, but hopefully healthy. But what it does do is gives them more data, so they can look at the video, the data, to see if they can improve themselves. So they've got a very fast reference there in both Brandon Oxley, in this case, on pole position.
111 is the Schnitzelarm Mercedes-AMG, which will be one to watch, I think, in the second stint, because David Thelenius is going to start the car. But J-Mo Hurtling was quickest in Q2. Right, green flag lap then is underway. Flag waved on the gantry, and we'll see whether those two cars are going to be allowed to start at the back, or they're going to have to join in from the pits at the end of the run down towards turn 1 when the race gets underway. And for the moment, they are being held in the pits. Brandon Oxley is on pole position for our first GT2 European Series powered by Pirelli race of the year, with Antoine Potti, a soloist, lining up with him. On the second row of the grid, you've got the Nordic Ginetta racer Michael Nior and last year's champion Stefan Rossina, ahead of Andre Rocoche and then Thomas Yu Lee, the American entrepreneur. David Thelenius is on the 7th rank of the grid alongside the double AM champion Philippe Pret. Alberto Di Martin goes from 9th in a gap where Dominic Albert is not 10th, that car damaged in qualifying. Roberto Pampanini, one to watch. Stefan Rattel is 12th on the grid. Starting from the pit lane is Alexis Berthet, but Lawrence Tomlinson's Ginetta is on the grid ahead of Oliver Freimuth's Lamborghini and Lara van den Hengel's Iron Dames Porsche. There's Victor Mirage, who was in the gravel in qualifying, lining up alongside Stefano Zerbi. After that, there is another car in the pits, driven by Marius Eigner, shared with Reinhard Koffler, but the pseudonymed Max Grip is there, so is Patrick Michelier, and it is going to be Wilhelm Kuhner to round out the grid, and that's a car to watch in stint 2 as well. His co-driver Moritz Wieskirchen was arguing over pole position. So then the field working its way up now from the second Lesmo bend down towards the Ascari chicane. There are the two in the pits I was talking about. You've got the Marius Eigner KTM, and then behind it is the Lamborghini of Alexis Berthet. They missed the pit lane closing time, so therefore they have to start from the pits. That means that they don't get quite as much warmth into the tyres. Some championships let you go out and do the lap, but then you have to start from the pits anyway, especially that's feasible if there are 2 formation laps, but we are with just the one here as the Maserati lead car brings the field up towards the Ascari chicane. And a rolling start as befits any good GT race, so we'll go racing this time around. As they come out of the Ascari chicane, they have to then get themselves into that side-by-side formation. There, Philippe Pret had a big off in testing in the week, but looking forward to starting his title defence. Different class structure, though, for this year, because instead of just Pro-Am and Am, we have Silver, Pro-Am and Masters for the more mature driver. So as you look down from the drone over the centre of the circuit, the Monza Grand Prix circuit, in this beautiful park with so many people here for a day out, whether it's to watch racing or just to go cycling or running or walking around the park, especially in these glorious weather that we have at the moment, glorious temperatures as well. Now they get themselves side by side. The lead car will bail for the pits, and it is going to be Brandon Oxley versus Antoine Potti then, who is new to GT2. Brandon Oxley, graduate of single-seater racing, but he's done quite a bit of GT racing of late. GT4 is where we've had Antoine Potti. And so now the car's coming slowly, slowly, slowly down towards the Parabolica. They, in theory, should be in 2 uniform lines. You can see there the Mercedes of Rocoche just peeling slightly to the inside. Andre Rocoche hopefully will get himself back in line when they get to the grid markings. They don't stop on them, but they need to go across them in good formation. So it has been a long wait before the season starts, but it's been worth the wait with a good grid, and this perhaps the catalyst for even greater things for GT2. It's been a slow burn, but the ignition is about to be lit now as the cars come up towards the timing line, ready to get round 1 of GT2 European Series powered by Pirelli underway. Then the Maserati lead car dives to the pit lane. The drivers keep an eye to the lighting gantry. The speeds build, and when the lights do change, let's see who makes the best start as they make their way up towards the start line, which is in a different place from the finish line. 1 or 2 have been on their toes a bit previous there, so it's slightly untidy. But as they go racing, Brandon Oxley will take pole position into the lead of the race. On one side, he's got Antoine Potty. On the other side, as they make the run down towards the first chicane, there is the Ginetta of Michael Nuhr. The pit starters join in. Can they all safely get round the chicane? No, because there's one on the escape road. The drone out breaks itself nearly and has to take to the curb as well, but they've all wriggled their way back onto the racetrack, some in the gravel. Not surprisingly, a frantic start, but a good getaway then by Oxley in the Mercedes.
Yeah, predominantly clean there, 3-4 wide on the exit of 2. It's actually Stefan Vettel in the Audi that got the jump and then felt like the lights hadn't changed, so backed out of it. Looking to the inside, one of the Maseratis trying to get down the inside of the Iron Dames Porsche, gets the job done. That was a good, clean overtake. And so far, we're good up to turn number 6.
As there you can see the challenge coming from Stefan Rossina in number 18 then, the reigning champion, Lamborghini last year with Bronek Formanek. Formanek's gone back to Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and there, the car that went through the gravel on the exit of the first chicane is already out of the race. That is Max Grip, the pseudonymed Austrian driver, going no further. So Philippe Pret's red Maserati is on the prowl. Brandon Oxley is leading the way from Antoine Potty in the change, possibly coming up for third place down to the Ascari chicane. Stefan Rossina right round the outside of Michael Nuhr. Has he got the room to do it? Outside at part 1, inside for part 2, the outside for part 3, but he's got the job done. Nicely done.
Yeah, really good move, really respectful racing as well. I was fearful for the Ginetta being on the dirty part of the track for Ascari as we go to safety car for that stranded car on the second chicane. So everyone will slow down, back to single file. And so far, I think we've seen some really strong pace, haven't we, from Oxley, as we see Max Grip out of luck.
So he is a retirement, our first casualty. We're about to lose our grip, so to speak. So that's up at the Rogier chicane. Max Grip's car will be removed from harm's way. The start is under investigation, perhaps not surprisingly. Petronisa having a look on at things on the pit box as the cars at the end of lap 1 make their way now towards the timing line. This is good news if your quicker driver is in the second stint, isn't it? Because there's less time, might only be by a lap, maybe 2, but there's less time for your slower AM to lose ground early on. Perhaps it doesn't work quite so well for the Silvers, where in theory they're evenly matched.
Yeah, exactly. It just nullifies that difference, doesn't it? So all the blue numbered cars on your timing tower, the silver graded ones, are getting less of a benefit over the Pro-Am, the orange background, the green background, and then the AM, the Masters class, the orange background. So yeah, it's going to hurt them slightly more.
It is indeed, as their Max Grip jogs away. He's okay, but I think as the car was squeezed over the curb and through the gravel, it's either ingested something or it's done some damage underneath. So not good for KTM. One didn't start, one's retired already, and down now towards the Retifilia they come, that first chicane. There is Stefan Rattel. Joe was talking about his start. Stefan is 12th. Here's a replay of the start. Yeah, you're right. I think Stefan did go and then backed out of it as the lights did change. So he then got a bit swamped, didn't he, on the run down towards the chicane.
Yeah, the replay didn't quite show us the start of that, but yeah, Stefan had to back out of it. So under investigation, but I don't really see any advantage gained. I do see an advantage gained for that Maserati, which jumped it inside and then did back out of it. So Stefan Rossina then tried to find his place as the cars jostled all the way through turns 1 and 2.
Let's try and have another look at how Max Grip came to grief. He's about to come into shot. He just got squeezed out wide. And
you know, there's another KTM that cut the inside that pushed 3 other cars to his inside. You'll see it here. So keep an eye on the exit of 2. He just kind of gets concertinaed out by a KTM on the inside now. You can see there are 4 wide. Everyone swerved to avoid. So Max Grip, minimum luck.
Just wonder whether or not that little bit of contact has done something on that left front corner, maybe broken something in the left front suspension, because it was a funny angle. Well, he carried on and got as far as the Rogier chicane and then went straight on. So that's the demise, not that he limped there. He did go back up to racing. So yeah, maybe it was a breakage that's caused that, because he's not been able to limp it back to the pit lane. So starts under investigation. Safety car is on track. And Brandon Oxley leads from Antoine Potty, who is a solo driver. So Potty, we know, can do the same lap times all day long, as it were. Stefan Rossina is 3rd. Michael Nuhr is 4th. A class-leading Andre Rocoche is 5th. And a class-leading Thomas Yu Lee is in 6th place aboard number 8, the LP Racing Maserati. Thomas Yu Lee is the American industrial designer and entrepreneur, making his debut really in European races.
Safety car stopped there. Relatively strange angle, but I think that's to give the driver and the spotter the best chance of seeing them in their mirrors. It gets rolling now, so yeah, Oxley's had to beat the safety car for quite a lot of this race, hasn't he? And now finally he can pass over the baton to the Maserati MC20 official safety car.
So he comes now through the Parabolica. We'll turn towards the timing line. Let's have another look at the start here, Joe.
So yeah, you see the Audi of Stefan Rattel on the 5th row. Looks like the lights have gone green from the body language, and then it's like it hasn't happened, so he feels like he's got to get out of it. Then he gets swamped. The first 4 rows all clean. Don't see any problems inside the top 8 cars. And then it was relatively clean. It was just that concertinaing up on the exit of 2 where they ended up 4 wide, which put Max Grip into the gravel.
And possibly with some sort of breakage that then came going into the Rogier chicane. So that's now 2 laps in the book. We are still under safety car conditions. I don't think this is going to affect the pit window, but were we under safety car and the window about to be opened, then it would be delayed, but we should be good to go long before we get to that. And the crowd watch on. This our first race of the weekend, 2 for GT2, 2 for GT4, 2 for the McLaren Trophy, also kicking off its season here this weekend, and 3 hours for GT World tomorrow. Safety car in this lap, so now it's up to Brandon Oxley to decide when he's going to fall the throttle. What you can't do is to go and slow, because that just creates mayhem behind him. It's very dangerous. Once he commits to acceleration, he's got to stick with it.
Yeah, I think the Mercedes having such a straight line performance. I wonder if he's tempted to go quite early, so maybe back everyone up hard around Ascari and drop it way before the Parabolica, or the more traditional point to drop it is on the entry to the last corner at turn 11 and just try and get gone that way. But I think he'll want to go early and try and space everyone out behind him.
Cars now making the run into the Lesmo bends, umbrellas up, not for rain, but just to try and keep some of the rays of the sun off. It is jolly hot out there. It's very hot inside these cars, and while you're under slow safety car conditions, there's less air getting to you, and you start to feel the heat a bit more. Yeah,
and you're almost working more under safety car, weaving left to right, accelerate, brake, so that added on top. It's the worst point as a driver physicality-wise. It does help those 2 rear cars, doesn't it? The KTM and the Lambo, who were starting from pit lane, their tyres now should be at the same temperature, and they've caught everyone up, so gives them a second chance at this.
Drivers then on their toes. We're going to go back racing this time, as you see the pink and white Porsche of Lara van den Hengel going through. But Antoine Potti's yellow Maserati is perhaps the one to watch. This gives him another chance, doesn't it, to have a go at Brandon Oxley. This time, though, it's going to be from a single file restart, not side by side like the start of the race.
Yeah, and Oxley, interesting, he hasn't really slowed down. He is now, so the gap building to the safety car, and he can't go too early then, because if he overtakes the safety car before safety car on line, he would get a penalty. So expect this to be somewhere in the middle of Parabolica that he drops the hammer.
Coming then now into the Parabolica right-hander. He'll be on the power very shortly. Behind him there you can see Antoine Potti, who's got a chance to have a go. So also has Stefan Rossina in 3rd place in the blue Maserati. And now the green flag flies and we go back racing. So Mercedes, Maserati, Ginetta is the top 4 as they come over the timing line. All of those in the silver class as they drop down to the chicane. And a good restart by Oxley. If anything, it's Rossina who is on his toes looking at the inside line. Doesn't commit to it, slots back in as Andre Rocoche comes up to threaten Mikel Nior in the Ginetta.
Yeah, some big gaps down the field, so not sure if some drivers weren't told about the safety car coming in or just first restart of the season, catching a few people out. As we see the KTM, the 89 of Miraz coming through, and looks like Philip Pret trying to get past the Iron Danes car coming into the second chicane.
Yeah, they can then through the Rogier chicane. As you look in the background at Philip Pret making a dive against Lara van der Hengel and going through, so a place gain for last year's AM champ. Pret on a mission now as he comes towards the fast right of the first Lesmo bend. He will go through that as Brandon Oxley, in the meantime, tries to build the gap again over Antoine Potti. We are about 10 minutes off the pit window, so he needs to sprint on and try and build up a gap before he has to hand that car over to Adrien Ferrer. Philip Pret, though, has had a really good restart because he's gaining places, and now he's becoming ever more of a factor, isn't he, onto the back of David Hellenius' Mercedes-AMG GT2.
Yeah, it certainly is. And just think Rocoche is doing a mega job in 5th, first in his class, but fastest AM as well. So last year when we didn't have the silver class, he would have been leading this race overall. So I think Rockos has had a good winter. He's come back. He was fast last year, but seems even faster so far what we've seen this weekend here at Monza.
Yeah, one or two drivers have been doing GT Winter Series racing to keep their eye in over the winter months. Pret launches up the inside of Thelenius into the Parabolica. Couldn't quite get level, but he stays there and he comes out of the corner ahead. So the inside line finally claimed. Took him a long time, it seemed, to really make that move, but Philippe Pret has made it stick, and David Thelenius gave him racing room as they go by. So now that puts Philippe Pret up into 7th place. He is closing on the class-leading Andre Rockos in the red and black Mercedes there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a dive bomb in the end, and luckily for him, the Mercedes opened up the lock, and the Porsche losing another place this time to Martin, isn't it? Has got past, and that's Tomlinson behind. I was worried for Pret because he was just on the wrong side of the track. It looked like a dive bomb that was going to go into the door, but luckily for him, the 111 car off the Nennis got out of the lock and gave him the space. Otherwise, I think that would have been contact, and it would have been put probably on Pret's door for the fault.
Now Oxley is getting away because, as you see there, Van den Hengel going into the Roger chicane, Stefan Rattel's Audi going through. Oxley is doing absolute best in sectors. So now getting into a rhythm, being able to build this gap as the fights rage on a little bit further back. 89 KTM, you see. That is Victor Marash. He caused a red flag in the qualifying session for this race, but he's keeping out of trouble now. He's got Roberto Pampanini behind him. And Pampanini, again, same in qualifying. He's just not come alive in that car in a way that we are surprised to see, because they've won races.
Yeah, they were so fast at times last year, weren't they, across the board, and kicking up the dust there. Oxley, you could see further back as well, Rattel and Tomlinson having a battle. That would be an awkward dynamic, wouldn't they, when you think of the customer relationship between Tomlinson and SRO. It's a hard one to work, and I'm sure Stefan Rattel will be respectful of that.
Yeah, SRO these days operating all of the Ginetta championships, so part of the family, Lawrence Tomlinson, in a sense. That's Andre Rockos going through, leading his class, the Masters class. It's a great livery on that Mercedes-AMG, works really nicely, but he's under attack, look, because coming up towards the line, Thomas Yu Lee's having a go, and there's Philippe Pret there as well, and Pret versus Rockos for the class lead.
Yeah, it's 3-1, isn't it? 3 cars looking to get past at the moment. Rockos doesn't seem to have the pace. He's got a straight line performance, but early on the brakes, and as you leave, going to go all the way around the outside. He closes the door, asks the question of Rockos, who gets it stopped. Great move, and again, luckily respectful driving from both.
Yeah, that was brave stuff, wasn't it? Around the outside, Thomas Yu Lee, who doesn't have a lot of Monza experience, but importantly now, Philippe Pret looking quicker than Andre Rockos is going for the lead of the Masters class. So bad news for Rockos in two senses. One, he's lost a position, but he's also now vulnerable to Pret, who's going to do another of his launches, I think, up the inside. Philippe Pret has the line. Rockos makes a mistake, goes up the escape road. And Philippe Pret is going to be able to take the lead of the class. Is he with the momentum? But we could end up with another interruption, because that is the Patrick Michelier Ferrari sitting in the gravel. Pret's done it. He's cleared the Mercedes. And Michelier is in the gravel down at the first chicane.
I think there's been contact with the damage on the front corner. I think he's gone into the back of someone. I thought Rockos was going to go in the back of Yu Lee. He broke too late. He had a slight lock-up as well.
There's a very delayed number 110 of Wilhelm Kuhner, so he may have been involved in it as you look at Brandon Oxley heading towards us. But I have a horrible feeling that we're heading towards safety car again. He's even got the wipers on now, as Wilhelm Kuhner. He's been up the escape road. You can see damage on the front left of that Mercedes.
Yeah, front left damage on him. Front right damage as safety car is called, and potential steering damage as well. It looks like the suspension completely gone on the front left. See the front left wheel going left, right. So the tracking rod, the steering arm, has gone on that. So he's going to have to nurse that home slowly. But yeah, expect to see contact between this car and that red Ferrari at the first chicane.
So he's not weaving, it's that the wheel is about to part company. He's desperately trying to keep the car in a straight line. He's still going to moderate pace, but let's have a look. Is he about to launch up the inside? Oh, yeah. Here he comes, over the curb, and bang. Michelier rather rudely nerfed out of the way. Broken suspension on the Ferrari, equivalent broken suspension on the Mercedes. Your Honour, who's at fault?
I think there was only one car at fault there, unfortunately, from the angle, and that was the first time he realised the suspension was broken as well. After that, he did well not to send it in the barrier, but from the replay we saw too late on the brakes there from the 110, and yeah, sent him in, and there's two cars that are going to be ultimately retired.
Yeah, so Wilhelm Kuhner, who was a class winner in the GT4 Winter Series at the start of last year, one of those two drivers that we've lost, and Patrick Michelier, who's been away racing in the Ultimate Cup series more recently. Out of the car, he's okay, but very disappointed. CMR, the team that operates the Ferrari, Classic Modern Racing, Charlie Boucherat's team will have some work to do. And our second safety car period then already.
Yeah, coming thick and fast. This one, I think, will delay the pit window potentially with the clear up of that Ferrari. Let's keep an eye on that one. But yeah, quite big damage on both those cars. Hopefully they've got the spare parts. But yeah, destruction derby with supercars never ends well.
And other drivers getting ready for their stint. So in the Schnitzelarm camp, they are effectively losing one car. Wilhelm Kuhne will be out of the race, but David Fellenius is going to give over his car to his very rapid co-driver J. Mo Hertling. The demise of Wilhelm Kuhne cost us the chance to see Moritz Wieskircher, which is a shame because he was really quick in his qualifying session, but we'll hopefully see him on track tomorrow. Right then, we work lap 7, our second safety car period of this opening GT2 European Series powered by Pirelli race of the year. And Wilhelm Kuhne's fair play brought it back to the pits.
Yep, you can see on the timing tower the pit lane timer counting up. That has to be 140 seconds for their minimum pit stop when we start that. So we'll keep an eye on that. We had a few cars last year under their pit stop time, and that will, of course, attract a penalty.
There is that 1 second tolerance that you can use as the joker, but that's only in one of the 2 races. So if you use it up today, then okay, but you've got to be absolutely precise or slower. Make sure you're over the pit window time tomorrow because you can't get the joker allowance twice. Race leader is Brandon Oxley in the grey Mercedes-AMG coming down towards the Parabolica. Brandon, new to this championship, not new to GT racing because we've seen him in the past in the GT4 European Series. He's raced in the GT Winter Series, but it was in Spanish F4, the Formula 3 equivalent, Euro Formula Open, and then GB3 that he initially started racing. The man in second place, Antoine Potti, familiar with from GT World Challenge Europe last year. So in the last couple of years, he's done GT4, then GT3, and now into GT2. And Stefan Rossina, if you go back quite a long time, was one of the stars of Porsche Super Cup in the late 90s, early noughties. These days, television personality, because having built up his business Matador, which is a car parts business, it's a kind of Slovakian Halfords, he is now on Slovak television's The Lion's Pit, which is their equivalent of Dragon's Den, and he's one of the lions, or dragons in our money, as people pitch ideas. So not only is he a successful businessman, now TV star to boot.
Something I can watch on the flight home then.
And your idea that you're going to pitch to him?
I'll get back to you on that.
Not that chocolate Fargard one again, is it?
You've been reading my notes.
Safety car in this lap, so that's good because that shouldn't affect the window.
Just as well, shouldn't it? So,
narrow, but yeah.
Yeah, they're going to come past pit lane once more and then expect quite a busy pit lane, especially the Pro-Am and the Master cars potentially wanting to change driver.
So the crowd gets set, photographers get set, drivers get set, teams get set as well. There'll be some teams here who will want to get the car in at the start of the window. There'll be others that want to bring their car in as late as they can, maximise the quick driver time behind the wheel. You're not regimented into which driver goes first, so you could do a strategy where you put your faster driver first in the first race. Others might do it in the second. There you can see in the background Stefano Zerbi's blue Porsche, so he's fallen behind the 2 pit lane starters, one of whom, Marius Eigner, is doing a half-decent pace now, which is good because it means that the problem that they had in qualifying 2 looks to be behind them.
Yeah, it was a sensor, wasn't it? We weren't sure which one, but
right, yeah.
really hampered their qualifying performance. So, yeah, quite rightly, David, you highlight that. So hopefully, as that car gets going in the second stint, we can see what Koffler pace could have been that we didn't get to see in qualifying.
Right, lights out atop the safety car, which is the indication that it will be in this time. And then Brandon Oxley is going to be in charge, and we're going to have effectively 1 lap before the pit window is open. I'm not saying 1 lap before everybody dives for the pits, but it does look as though some will be in as early as they can be. So Oxley versus Potti as they come down through the Parabolica. Stefan Rossina in 3rd place. Mikkel Muir 4th, the class-leading Thomas Lee 5th, the class-leading Philippe Pret 6th. Green flag ready.
Mega restart from Rossina here. He's already nearly alongside, and you're not allowed the overlap in many championships anymore. Not sure really why, because it used to be quite a good thing to have as a driver in your armoury, but is he going to try and send a move to Potty as they hit the brakes for turn 1?
Potty defends. In the background, look, Mikel Nuhr is trying to defend from Thomas Yu Lee, who has already cleared him round the outside. Nuhr gets crowded up the curb, but Thomas Yu Lee and the white Maserati goes through. So good effort there to go fourth now, as again, Brandon Oxley sprints away. Carl's making the run now up through the Parabolica, and then we're looking at a pit stop of 140 seconds. The chicane comes Oxley trying to rebuild that lead. Philippe Pret in the background makes the move to the inside of Mikel Nuhr. Andre Rokosh is back with him, and then behind the pair of them is David Felenius in the surviving Schnitzelal Mercedes. But then he comes under attack from Alberto Di Martin in the NM Racing Team car, the grey with the white stripe Mercedes. No way through at Lesmo 1.
Di Martin read that situation well, swung out wide, got a good exit out the second chicane, but unfortunately had nowhere to go with that pace. These Mercedes well over 700 horsepower, huge amount of power to put down, so it's easy to spin up the rears and get a slide and lose a bit of traction. Lawrence Tomlinson in the GT2 Ginetta, great to have them and himself in this grid and racing this year.
Yeah, it is, because Lawrence hasn't done a vast amount of racing in recent years, sort of dipped in and out, concentrating on Ginetta, also looking after the careers of his daughters who have come into racing and in some cases married existing racing drivers, and so the Ginetta dynasty continues. But Lawrence, great enthusiast and still very, very quick indeed. Right, that's Mikel Nuhr trying to fight back in the quicker of the two Ginettas. Tomlinson will give way to Mike Simpson for the second stint. Mike, another very rapid Brit, and up towards the timing line comes Brandon Oxley. And the pit window is now open. Are there any takers? Yes, 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 because in early, Thomas Yu Lee, and he wasn't the first, was he? Looks like Rosina might have bailed already as well.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a busy pit lane. Looks like you'd say half the grid are going to take it, and Rosina is our first pit stop. But no compensation time, of course, because it's our first race of the season, so everyone is the same. As we see this battle rage on between Pret and Nuhr. Pret did well to back out of that, because I thought, no, they're really cut across the front of the one car.
So,
sorry, he's gone straight through the chicane. Doesn't look like he's lost too much time there.
Okay, Thomas Yu Lee to give way to Nicola Pirro, and we've also got the Stefan Rosina Maserati in, and he will give way to Gerhard Ferraza. Still Philippe Pret in the thick of the battle, but he's cleared Mikel Nuhr this time going into the Roger chicane. Philippe Pret, we've seen this before, sort of gets better and better as the race goes on, doesn't he? He's a slow starter, but gets very, very quick. Neil Montserrat will take over 115 Mercedes. A bit of fuel going in and then sort of spits back at the mechanic. Now the driver change can take place. So that was, the mechanic seemed to be talking to somebody away from the car, not looking at the car when that happened.
I think he was putting it on and it wasn't going in. He was confused, but I think it's because they've used so little fuel because they've been on the safety car. So they're probably looking to get 30 litres in, but they haven't used it. So he's probably a bit confused, and we saw the excess getting sprayed all over the car. Luckily for them, didn't touch anything too hot.
I mean, that fuel costs a fortune these days, doesn't it? The price is going up. You can't afford to spell it like that, chap. Down towards the Parabolica, race lead battle. Oxley, if anything, might just be being caught a little bit here by Potty. And dramas here for the Victor Marash KTM, which is decidedly hot and bothered. It has arrived in the pit lane with possibly an engine fire. Engine cover goes up. Mechanic is there with the extinguisher. Oxley carries on for another lap. So does Potty, and they cleared away from that fight for third between Mikel Nuhr and Philippe Pret, but the smoke in the pit lane and the extinguisher rising into the air.
I don't know if that was fuel involved or just bad timing as the cars stopped. They're obviously at their hottest and then you suddenly turn it off. Sometimes that can be an ignition point. So Oxley sends it over the curb, but yeah, Potty's keeping the pace up. And remember, Potty drives by himself, so he's got an advantage that he's going to get straight on it after the pit stop. Does have to stop, get out the car to make the pit stop fairer at least, but he's got the knowledge that all the second drivers will not.
So I think we may be looking at the demise of 89 KTM. We'll find out. As in super slow-mo, you look at the big wallop of the curb Brandon Oxley had coming into the first chicane. Durable cars, though. Right, we've got many of them leaving the pit lane, and under the time is Thomas Yu Lee. He'll be able to play the joker now that into that car goes Nicola Pirelli. But they can't do that tomorrow. Sarah Bovey in the Porsche. The Iron Dames car, that is, and behind in the blue one is Eugenio Pisani.
And they've got to get straight on it, and there you can see him late on the brakes into the first chicane. Big puff of smoke out the back of the KTM. Again, we're used to that, aren't we? Over-fueling on the upshift from the Audi 5-pot turbo engine. And yeah, for me, Potty's got the pace, getting slightly held up now by the Mercedes as a door up after the pit stop. Luckily, it's driver's side, so hopefully they can grab hold of that and pull it back down. But that will be a slight awakening for Niccolo Pirri.
It's not the best air conditioning system, but into the car nonetheless. He might be able to do something about that himself. It might be that if the catcher's broken, it's got to come in and have some sticky tape put over the side of it. As up towards the line comes this lead battle, they're still yet to pit. Brandon Oxley has just done the fastest lap of the race. There is Gerhard Tverazza, who's taken over from Stefan Rossina. That was the car that qualified 4th. It was running 3rd. It's another from the LP Racing stable, the Luca Pirri team. And the race now with 24 3/4 minutes to go. Tverazza, ex-Formula 3 racer, but for recent decades associated with Lamborghini, now going to a different type of Italian supercar. As you look at Antoine Potty, who just can't quite live with Oxley. The real interest now is going to be the pace of Adrian Ferrer, isn't it? And see what he can do. Relatively new to European racing, certainly to Monza, having been in the States for many years. What he can do relative to Potty, whose pace will remain. He's in the car to the end, solo driver.
I'm worried Oxley's using too much curb. You saw him bouncing off the curb at 5 there. These cars more road car focused than GT3, so can't quite take the abuse. Does look like Pirri's got the door closed, which is good news for him. So he's obviously just able to slam it shut and doesn't have a problem now.
Battle on for the lead, because coming out of the Lesmos, it looks like Potty is a little bit nearer. There's Mike Simpson in the Ginetta ahead of Sarah Bovey in the Iron Dames Porsche. We haven't really had to worry about track limits because we've had so many safety car laps, but the track limits are reset during the pit stop for the cars, so you get an allowance per driver for your stint, not per car for the race. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
He said with the voice vibrant with sincerity. So everybody now can push on, I think is what we're saying, and see how close to the edge they can get. Mike Simpson then goes through, and we've got another car that was quite a long way under the pit stop time. It is the blue Porsche of Eugenia Pisani. That was under by 2.3 seconds. That's more than the Joker tolerance.
Yeah, so they're going to get a drive through, aren't they? And that's going to really take them out of the running. To the current 16th at the moment, will drop all the way to the back.
So down the pit lane comes the race leading Mercedes, but Antoine Potty inherits the lead by staying out. So Oxley pits, Pret pits, Nuhr is in the Ginetta as well. So now in the majority of cases we're looking at different drivers. The LP Racing team having most of the pit lane to itself, but with most of the entry to itself really, and having to get cars cycled through the pit stops, making sure that nobody gets boxed in behind anybody else, especially in the same team. Arriving now is number 1 then, so Philippe Pret, and he will get out of the car, the door will be closed, he'll get back in. Over the timing line there goes Gerhard Tverazza, so the Austrian driver down towards the first chicane.
Am I correct in saying the KTM that had the sort of smoky incident in pit lane actually made it back out? The 89 car has now gone out with Kajaya, and it had a slow pit stop, 3 minutes 10 versus 2 minutes 20, but actually that car did get back out.
Has gone back out, you're quite right. Delayed and having lost another lap, but it is still in the race. There, back on track, the Lamborghini that started from the pit lane, now Vincent Eagda at the wheel of it, and this is Adrian Ferrer being strapped into the car that was leading the race when Brandon Oxley was behind the wheel. And is there a problem, or is this just being meticulous? You've got 2 minutes 20 seconds to do the work, so I don't think they necessarily have a drama. But Antoine Potty is going to have to think about pitting. He's running out of time. He's got to come in this lap, hasn't he? He's not going to be able to do another lap in time. So yeah, he's got to come in this lap, otherwise he'll be out of time.
Yeah, he's bailing for pit lane now, late on the brakes, getting it down to 50 kilometers an hour. I'm sure he was okay, but Stefan Rattel looked close to touching the white line on pit exit. He was keen to get past the Lamborghini. Hopefully the camera angle just flattened it slightly, and race control won't look at that.
As far as this weekend goes, it's effectively Stefan's white line. I think he's probably, you know...
He owns it.
Absolutely.
What white line?
Yeah, right. But equally, there are race directors that say, treat it as a barrier. So you go over it, damage the car, well, we'll effectively damage your race by crossing the white line. Now, already, the incoming drivers making their presence felt. J-Mo Hartling, who is on pole position for race 2, has just done the fastest lap of the race, having taken over now from David Hellenius in the number 111 Mercedes-AMG. Here, about to lose the lead, seemingly, is Yeah, I'm afraid to say Adrian Ferrer, so that's now going to put Ferraza up ahead of him in the blue Maserati. Philippe Pret rejoins, so some slow pit stop seemingly there. Yeah, the Mercedes lost 5 seconds. I was wondering if there was an issue with the belts, but seemingly there was something. It's cost them a big chunk of time.
Yeah, couldn't see why it was going wrong in the team's practice, but in the heat of the moment, belt gets stuck behind the back, the driver panics, and it's hard to communicate with the mechanic helping.
The fastest pit stop time is to Oliver Freimuth, 2 minutes 15.4.
That's really good.
That's really good. And he's going to get a really good penalty because it's way, way under the tolerance. So something has not quite gone right in the pit stop for AKF Motorsport. But it was a slow stop for Ferrer. Philippe Pret was 2 minutes 22. 2 minutes 20 is the time you're aiming for. But Ferraza, 2 minutes 20 and a tenth. Spot on.
Perfect. Metronomic, that's what you need. But yeah, this blue Porsche, I expect to get a drive-through penalty coming soon, and the Lamborghini. So there are two cars that have gone under are right next to each other on track.
They are indeed ahead of Sarah Bovey. They're in the pink and white Porsche, the Iron Dames car. And then behind Sarah, you've got Reinhard Koffler, who, of course, took over the car from Marius Eigen that started in the pit lane. Koffler was the champion 2 years ago. Very good single-seater racer 2 decades ago, but then ran out of money.
So if Potty has a clean pit stop, he should inherit the lead quite comfortably here. He's obviously going to be leaving pit lane now, and we should get a good shot of this down the pit straight. And at the moment, he looks well clear, doesn't he, of Teresa in the 18 car, now in shot.
Yeah, so Antoine Potty is going to rejoin, and the pit stop time is 1.4 seconds over, so he's clear in that respect. Gerhard Ferraza is a little bit nearer to him, but Potty, as you say, has the race lead. Third, this is the big winner, J-Mo Hartling in the Schnitzelau Mercedes, ahead of Adrian Ferrer. So the car that led in is fourth, the other side of the stops. Yeah, and the interesting bit there, the track position is important because these drivers are so similar with their pace. That's going to help J-Mo massively running clear air and hopefully be able to catch Teresa in front. But let's see how it unfolds. We've got a couple of cars that we've identified being short on the stops. We've got two more for speeding in the pit lane, possibly. One of which is Ethan Gialdini's Ginetta, and the other... Don't say it. OK. 88, Stefan Vettel. Didn't say it. Never said a word. It'll all be fine. So Antoine Potty, the race leader, and we'll see what the gap is next time over the stripe, as Sarah Bovey is trying to get past the Oliver Freimuth Porsche. Sorry, Porsche, Lamborghini, I should say. Freimuth has race Porsches, but largely Renaults is where he made his mark in the one-make days a long, long time ago. But the Iron Dames Porsche, seeing the similar car of Eugenio Pisani getting away up the road. That Pisani in the blue Porsche, another one who was under on the pit stop time. It's been a good outlap for Potty. Looks like he's kept the gap the same, maybe even gap Teresa slightly behind him. An advantage of being yourself straight back into it. And Nina J. Paul from the pit lane telling us that the reason that Adrian Ferrer's car had a slow pit stop was he stalled it, and that cost them time rejoining. So Adrian Ferrer, the architect of his own downfall in a sense. And this is where sharing a car can have its ups and downs, can't it? Because after a good stint by Brandon Oxley, their position now looks as though it's going to be compromised by the other driver. Right, so there is Teresa. J-Mo Hartling is the one to watch now. First to third, 5.4 seconds. Hartling on a mission. Yeah, it's been a good stint for himself and his teammate, of course. They gained 4 positions, as you can see. Ferrier dropping 3 from that stall predominantly, and Pret has gained 3, and he's leading his class. So all 3 classes represented inside the top 5. Philip Pret with a huge lead over Oliver Freimuth, next in that class, who was going to get a penalty. So it's actually all the way back to Petrolisa in 13th overall. Can I just do a bit of admin? Yeah. You know, you mentioned that 88 Stefan Rattel was being under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. Well, he's also got a 10-second time penalty for jumping the start, which is going to be added at the end of the race. And 89, the KTM that conflagrated, that was fuel spillage that then caught fire. Well, the smoke we saw was the extinguishant largely. So they had to put that out, clear it all up. That's why they lost the lap. But that's more news from Nina Jade in the pit lane. So the KTM is back out and running. And, OK, it's a long way down overall, but it's class points that it's after then, as the gap is there, 2nd, 3rd and 4th coming up towards the Ascari chicane. And there is Philippe Pret leading his class, of course, the Masters class. He is 5th. J-Mo Hartling is also a class leader, 3rd, and lapping at the moment quicker than the 2 ahead.
Yeah, I wonder if Philip Pret in that red Maserati is going to defend from Niels Moserat in the Mercedes. We saw them race against each other last year. You would say Pret just about would come out on top in a fair fight the majority of the time. So maybe he's not going to let him go, but he doesn't need to battle him. It's not for position. But you try telling Philip Pret that every time we interviewed him, he was pretty positive and aggressive with his outlook on motorsport.
Drive-through penalty for Stefan Rattel for speeding in the pit lane, as there is the KTM. Reinhard Koffler has got ahead of Sarah Bovey now, but he has not yet cleared Oliver Freimuth, who may well fall victim to the KTM now, coming up towards the timing line. So Reinhard Koffler goes by, and as he breaks the beam, having just gained a place, he is just over a fifth of a second back from the Lamborghini that then strolls away in a straight line. There's the effect of how different cars have their strengths and weaknesses. The KTM a little bit breathless in a straight line, but Koffler's ludicrous late braking brings him back onto the tail of Freimuth. He might have a go, but he doesn't have enough grunt, does he? As here is Montserrat to have a go on Pret up the inside. Through he goes, over the curb. Montserrat, who is perhaps more of the pro than the am in that car, in fairness, got as far as Formula Renault 3.5 single-seaters, clears Pret, and actually checks out straight away. Yeah, Pret didn't battle it at all as this battle rages on. I thought the KTM might get past Freimuth. Remember, this KTM started from pit lane. When you speak about different cars, you've got a V10 Lambo against a 5-cylinder Audi engine against a 6-cylinder Porsche in the rear of the car, and the KTM trying to look down the inside there is a normal lunge, but seems to be distracting Freimuth at the moment. Yeah, Freimuth's got this Dan McLeish investigation hanging over him. Now, Thomas Yu Lee, the team manager of that car, now it should have Nicolo Piri at the wheel, although it's still showing on all the graphics as Thomas Yu Lee, which puzzles me a bit. That team seeing the race director, so we're expecting it to be a double driver entry, still being shown as driver one. We try to unravel that if we can, but they've got to go and see the race director. The only thing I can think is that the driver ID hasn't changed and they want to talk about that, or the KTM, great move there, sorry, chops across, tried to block the inside now because he will lose out at the end of the straights compared to the Lambo. Bovey coming as well, and I think Freimuth losing 2 places there, so tough break for Freimuth, maybe the team saying about the pit stop, and that's distracted him somewhat. But this car that started from the pit lane now with Koffler aboard, we knew he was going to be fast, but he's got some great pace, and now he's got some space in front. How long will it take him to catch Petrolisa in the Mercedes in front? At the moment, 3.4 seconds ahead of him. Yeah, the grunt of the two Ginettas running nose to tail there. We've got Colladini in front of Mike Simpson, and then we think it's Piri in that Maserati, but like you're seeing on the timing screen, it's still showing as Yu Lee. So it's hard to call at the moment, we can't see it. They had the door open as well, remember, on their outlap, but that quickly got shut. So I'd be surprised if race control found issue with that. So the battle on for second place now. Gerhard Tverazza, 1.3 seconds ahead of J-Mo Hartling, who is consistently lapping in the 46s. So the lead gap first to third, 4.7 seconds. And Hartling, I think, is going to have a chance of getting second place before the end of the race. But let's see whether or not he can clear Tverazza with enough time to have a go at Potty. The race has only got 12 minutes to go. Yeah, the last laps, Potty and Hartling there, 3/10 apart in the favour of this car and shot the 111. So there's a chance, but at the moment you would say Potty's probably just managing the pace. If he needed to pick it up, he would. His last lap was his fastest though, so he is starting to get faster as the fuel burns off, obviously. So Potty through, 3.7 seconds clear from Tverazza, who is 0.8 ahead of J-Mo Hartling, who is hurtling along behind him. And let's see what he can do here. Not close enough to attack at the chicane, but that's another curb-happy Mercedes, isn't it? Yeah, and actually the Maserati, I think, lost the apex, went in too hard. So that will give Hartling a chance to get even closer. Expect the move, I think, to either be into Ascari or into the final corner of this lap, or will he have to wait one more lap and think about it into turn one? Here they come then towards the Rogier chicane. A little bit of dust kicked up by Tverazza as he just skimmed the dirt on the extreme of the line. But you've got J-Mo Hartling behind him. Hartling's done the fastest first sector of anybody in the race thus far on this lap. So further proof, if it were needed, of just how quick he is. Remember, he's on pole for race 2. And Tverazza, new to GT2 machinery, new to this car. And while they potentially squabble, Antoine Potty continues to lead. So he could be on for a maiden GT2 win, or win a first time out, which would be quite a way to kick-start this programme for him. There he is, but there you can see first to third. It was 4.6 seconds effectively at the start of the lap.
Yeah, Maserati's strong in this middle sector. The Mercedes' strength is the straights, and the middle sector has the most amount of corners, so it seems to favour the Maserati. Now we go for a long period of Mercedes power, this straight and the next. Is he going to be close enough for a move into the final corner?
He's close, but Tralza sees it coming and covers off the inside line early. To the outside line now goes J-Mo Hurtling as he tries to go wide in, tight out. Has a tighter line coming through the parabolica. Now it's going to be a drag race down to the first chicane. The Maserati gets the bite off the corner and leads then up towards the timing line. Through they go. Tralza just ahead as they come through. Nose to tail they run. To the outside line again goes Hurtling. Is he going to be able to go by? Last of the late breakers. A little dab to make sure they're there. Tralza has the tighter line and he's just kept the place.
Yeah, it was interesting there. Hurtling setting down a load of rubber around parabolica on the throttle hard. And you're right, David, he's having to pump the brakes up. So maybe the brakes getting a bit hot in that Mercedes. That's why you saw his brake lights flash. It's just the driver pumping them up, making sure the piston and the caliper and the brake pad are all as one. And that could be maybe something that's going to come into play in this last 9 minutes.
But while they're doing this, it's playing into the hands of Antoine Potti, the race leader, isn't it? Because he's being able to build that lead. Here they come for second and third places. We're running out of time, running out of laps, and Hurtling now goes one way and then the other, hoping to outfox Tralza. We're into the final 10 minutes, just over 9 are on the clock, look, as they come again through the second of the Lesmo Benz, and then the run down to the Ascari chicane. You kind of think the Mercedes will be good in a straight line with all of that grunt, the front engine car, but a couple of lengths lost through the Lesmos.
Yeah, it's just where that mid-corner speed seems to favour the Maserati. Mid-engine always gets good traction versus the front-engine Mercedes. Always good at turning in, but potentially not enough weight over the rear to help the car get out of those corners. But this is where we saw it get close last lap. Do you think maybe he'll look to not get the cutback as aggressively and just look to launch it into turn one?
So he had a go at the parabolica a lap ago. Incidentally, the Eugenio Pisano Porsche is going to have a 12-second penalty added at the end of the race for being short on the pit stop. There goes then 1-1-1. J-Mo Hurtling, not actually as close this time as he was a lap ago. That Sarah Bovey in replay having a wild old moment coming through the Lesmo Benz. Rally crossing away back onto the circuit. Carries on, leader through with now 8 minutes on the clock, and the lead gap is going up all the time, 5.1 seconds as again, look, Hurtling tries to make this move against Tralza, who, having had a lap of defending, is almost now equal to the task. He knows what to expect.
Yeah, more further back there for Hurtling. It never looked like the move was on into parabolica or the first chicane, so now has to wait a long part of this lap. I don't see an overtake happening at the moment for this Mercedes that isn't in turn 1 or turn 11.
But if he can force an error out of Tralza, then it's all bets off, isn't it? Here they come again. Tralza defends the middle of the road, then goes back to the outside to get the line, but he was even closer to the edge there than he was a lap ago. So maybe the pressure is telling a little bit. Hurtling, the younger of the two drivers, putting pressure on the old pro here, but Gerhard Tralza goes through the first of the Lesmo Benz, short straight, turn right again, and then back down to the Ascari chicane. We are currently on lap 20, and they're running out of time to change second and third places.
Plucky Tralza here is really getting the car wide in a fair manner, but he looks right on the edge. He can't afford to brake any later than he is. He's already going in slightly too deep to these corners. He needs to concentrate on exits against this much faster Mercedes at the end of the straights.
Through the Ascari chicane they come. Fast chicane that as well, and then the speed continues to build even further on this long drag down to the parabolica. You can see the park on the outside, the paddock on the in, and then you get to the parabolica, swing right, and it's a long corner.
Really goes on and on. Track temperature at 52 degrees, so these tyres will really be getting on. No tyre changes in the pit stops. So these tyres have done every single lap of the race so far, and it just looks like maybe the Mercedes is struggling in the dirty air with that, unable to be as close as he was 3 laps ago into turn 1. Doesn't look like the move is on at the moment.
To the chicane they come now, and Antoine Potti revelling in this. Look, he's got 5 seconds in hand. Even if Hurtling can clear that Maserati, you still don't get the feeling that he's got enough time left in the race, good a driver as he is. So he has been compromised a bit by being stuck behind Tralza, but this is a fair fight, isn't it? Tralza is perfectly at liberty to defend, and it's not like Hurtling is crawling all over the back of him. He's close at certain points and drops away at others.
Yeah, I wonder what Hurtling's thinking about as well in terms of it's not for class, is it? He's already on the overall podium, he's leading his class. as we see the car coming through pit lane here of Yu Li. So it was under investigation, wasn't it? And we're still not 100% sure if it's Yu Li or Pirelli in the car, but they're driving through pit lane right now.
We're being told it is Pirelli, that they've clearly got a problem with the driver ID system. Thomas Yu Li watching Nicola Pirelli come down the pit lane. Now 115, Nil Montserrat must give back one position for overtake out of track, off the track in other words. Is this to do with the door for Nicola Pirelli? Something in the cockpit. Maybe it's the driver ID, I don't know.
Maybe, but the door had been perfectly closed after we saw it open. Unless he was having to hold it. I've actually had to do that in a McLaren Trophy race where the latch failed. I had to put my arm through the loop and then realise how heavy the door was as I turned right and nearly pulled my shoulder out. But yeah, surprised on that one, but they're getting to work on it. We don't see a reason why they should be in pit lane on the timing screen.
Now, what was the moment that Nil Montserrat had overtaking off the track? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think we saw it. I'm trying to think where you could have possibly done it. Either the chicanes or potentially here you can go to the inside to the pit wall, but I don't remember seeing the Nil Montserrat issue.
He went over the curb when he got past Philippe Press, unless it's that. Anyway, this for second place all of a sudden looks a lot more committed for J-Mo Hartling as he comes down towards the first chicane. The drone there getting a great view of it as they go right and left through the chicane. Hartling gets the power down, so does Trevalza in that blue Maserati just ahead of him. And with 4 minutes on the clock, they go now into the Curva Grande. Good battle is going on here, look, between Petrolicia and behind him is Ethan Gialdini. They've swapped on this lap for 9th place. And here for second, again, Hartling trying everything he can to get past Trevalza, who is fairly resolute in the defence here. He may not be able to pull away. He certainly can't go after Antoine Pozzi for the win in a similar Maserati, but what he can do is make that as wide a car as possible.
Done everything right. The problem for him is one mistake will let that place go, and they are still struggling with the door. They're saying it's done, so the latch or something has failed, and that's always the problem with these quite fancy dihedral doors. They always want to push up. The gas strut to help you open it is forcing against keeping it closed, and even the aerodynamics don't keep it pinned, so tough break for the 8 car.
Up the curb again, bounces J-Mo Hartling. There through, you've got the Gerhard Trevalza car, and the demise effectively of Nicola Pirelli sees that tumble down the field and shuffles the order accordingly. Still, this fight's on for second spot though, isn't it, as they come into the Parabolica once again. There going through is Hartling. Dropped back a little bit from Trevalza this time, so big frustration for him.
Yeah, he's just trying to get some air to the engine, to the tyres, and go for one more attack. Should get 2 more laps. Here's our Masters leader, Philippe Pret, and it's been a comfortable afternoon for him so far, hasn't he? He's a long way clear of Petrolica in class. He's got Clamier behind in another Maserati, but that is not for position, so don't expect him to fight that one too hard either.
Coming out of the chicane onto the Curva Grande now. And what have we got? 2.5 minutes. This lap and one more. So Hartling is running out of options, isn't he?
Really is, and he gets close into this second chicane, but it never looks like he's got the momentum to get the move done. It really is last and first corner as those options, but he's got to work hard in this middle section to stay as close as he can to Teresa in this 18 Maserati.
So Trevalza still second. Now this is Montserrat. He goes up the curb. Well, okay. That's deemed to be all 4 wheels off the circuit.
Yeah, I mean it is, isn't it? But it's interesting to know what the difference is between a track limit and gaining an advantage, because you would normally get a track limit for that, but he has overtaken at the same time. Has the overtaking happened because of that? But it's difficult.
And now it's under investigation for not having given the position back as yet, because Nil Montserrat, having gone by, has cleared off to the tune of 5 seconds. So whether he's going to slow down at the line or whether he's going to just get to the end and
was that the message saying don't give it back?
Well, I read that as not having done it yet.
Yeah,
rather
or they said that was what I'd logically agree.
Yeah.
But if you read it,
don't give back.
White, don't give back. Don't give it back.
I'm assuming that's a slight language discrepancy, but we'll see. There is Philippe Pret, who's in danger of losing another place anyway, to Mauro Calamier here. So Calamier, another of the Maserati drivers, coming up towards the line.
The problem for Montserrat now is if he gives the place back to Pret, he's going to give it to Clamier as well, isn't he? And that's the class, so that's the big problem.
They go by, and so Calamia on the tail of Pret. So the message had been on the screen for a while, and the time difference is something like 4 minutes. So I think they're thinking in those 2 laps, you could have given the place back. Right now, though, Pret is in an on-track battle with Calamia, and it's not going to affect him in terms of the class win, because he's a long way up the road from Petrolicia.
Yeah, the only thing would be if Calamia can get past Pret and Montserrat doesn't give the position after the race, you'd expect the penalty to put Montserrat behind Pret. And if the gap is between Pret and Calamia, he might not lose that podium position.
Exactly
so
right.
It could be a well worth overtake for Calamia in this gold and black Maserati.
So up the road is Montserrat with this investigation hanging over him. Antoine Potty, though, has got a much more simple existence here, hasn't he, as he comes through the chicane for the last time at the Ascari. He's down towards the Parabolica. This has been a perfect drive, and even on this last lap, he's still doing absolute best and personal best sectors. So Antoine Potty won't get the fastest lap of the race, I don't think, but he is going to be able to extend the advantage and throw down a marker. First time in a GT2 race, and a new team to the championship, up from rallying to racing, the I4 race squad. Antoine Potty is going to win the first GT2 European Series powered by Pirelli race of 2026. A great debut for Antoine Potty. First time out, first time winner. Second goes to Gerhard Tferaza, who is just going to hang on to take second place over J-Mo Hartling. Fourth should go the way of the delayed Adrian Ferrer. Neil Montserrat will be fifth over the line, and we'll wait to see what comes of the penalty for him, with sixth going the way of Philippe Pret, who just hangs on ahead of Mauro Calamia to take the class win. And behind him is Calamia, seventh. Then eighth will go the way of Mike Simpson. Ninth ought to be Petrolicia, second to Pret in class. And then for the 10th, it will be on the road, Eugenio Pisani, but his Porsche has a penalty to apply post-race. That'll put the number 3 Ginetta of Ethan Gialdini back into the top 10. But a hat tip to Antoine Potty. He may not have had the speed in the first stint, but he knew the race would come to him.
Yeah, clean pit stop as well for the team was the big deciding factor, wasn't it, in that one? And yeah, looked really dominant. To be able to do green sectors on the final lap showed that he looked after the tyres really well over the period of the race.
So a time penalty has been given to Neil Montserrat for gaining a position on track. He's been given a 5-second penalty, which I don't think he's going to do anything about it. I think that will not put him behind Philippe Pret.
No, he was 5.1 in front at the line, so yeah, no change of position. So Montserrat has done the right thing by not giving the position back inherently.
But that message was talking about investigating him for not giving it back, not don't give it back. So we were right in that. So a really good first round of the championship. That in the end, Montserrat ends up 1 second ahead of Pret, not 6. So he keeps the place. And so asking him to give the place back was rather academic. But anyway, the stewards have decided that the penalty was 5 seconds, and a very good drive indeed by Antoine Potty, first time out. And GT2 looks set for a good year. It's amazing the difference lots more cars can make. Battles all the way through the field. Quite a few incidents as well. And there, Philippe Pret driving through the gravel. Now, there's one way to add pickup on the car, and there's going wide through the gravel. It's a bit excessive, isn't it?
Yeah, quite an aggressive one, unless the team really think they're underway.
Cars being waved to the paddock through the back of the circuit, other than those cars that are required for podiums. So the top 3 in the classes hopefully will come to us. So let's have a look at the result. A win for Antoine Potty from Stefan Rossina and Gerhard Tferaza, with in third place, number 111, the Mercedes of David Hellenius and J-Mo Hartling. And they win in Pro-Am. Fourth, Brandon Oxley and Adrian Ferrer, who led stint 1. Fifth, Alberto Di Martin and Neil Montserrat. And sixth, Philippe Pret, the winner. One KTM before the start. We lost 1 on the opening lap, so quite a few teams with work to do But what a start to the programme for Antoine Potty and for I4 Race. Tomorrow, the top 3 in each of the classes will carry some compensation time. So the pit stop time added to on a sliding scale of 10, 7 and 5, depending on if you're in the top 3 or where you are in the top 3, and actually extra time again if you're a soloist. So Potty tomorrow could be looking at something like 14 seconds extra in the pits. It's going to make it tough tomorrow without a safety car in the second stint. So Antoine looking remarkably understated about all of this. Pirelli winner's cap on. Nina Jade arrives to have a word. And some great driving by Antoine Potty. Very much an experienced GT racer these days. More incidents are going to be looked at post-race. The incident between Wilhelm Kühner and Patrick Michelier that was one of our safety car periods, that's going to be looked at by the stewards ready for tomorrow. So it could be that grid penalties come for tomorrow, depending on what they find. Let's find out. Right, Nina Jade was first to get to our race winner. Nina Jade Paul then is with Antoine Potty. Winner, first time out in GT2.
I was waiting for him.
Antoine, first win for you in GT2 and first win for the team in GT2. Yeah. Congratulations. Talk us through that race.
I mean, I've managed the first part, being behind the Mercedes, trying to stay in the slipstream. And after the pit stop, we managed to get back in front, and I just did my sprint. The car was perfect, so we've managed to do a great job with the whole Maserati team and I4 Race team.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Strong work by Antoine Potty, and we'll try and catch our other class winners. But for I4 Race, then up from a successful rally campaign in seasons past to now racing. Perfect start, beautifully presented car as well. The great shape that Maserati built for GT2, whereas Mercedes, for example, has a similar shape across GT3 and GT4. This is purely for GT2. Let's get back to the pit lane.
Let's start with you then, Stefan. That was a good first stint for you.
No, very happy, very pleased. I was able to move to position 3. We had a very tight fight with this car, and then we wanted to undercut, and then Gerhard took over and were able to pass one more car. So beautiful position 2. I'm very proud, very happy.
It's nice when strategy comes out and plays a hand a little bit there. And Gerhard, you had to do a job. You did a job from P4, then moved up the order to P2. It's a great result.
Yeah, Stefan did a really good job at the beginning. He went all with the other cars in front, so there was not a big gap. The pit window we used quite well, I would say. Yeah, we were really good. And then I pushed really hard the out lap and the second lap. And yeah, when I arrived, I saw I'm in front of the Mercedes. So yeah, I tried to push every lap, and it worked out well.
Go and cool down, get some fizz and cool down. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stefan Rossina in the white overalls, Gerhard Verraza alongside him. Second place, Maserati drivers with Bryn Lucas. And the drivers now making their way to the podium. Circuit's going to get busy soon because GT3 free practice is going to take to the circuit. J-Mo Hartling and David Thelenius taking third, and the class win as well. I've got both of those drivers I see next to the Mercedes with Nina Jade.
24-hour.
Yeah. Right, so having a good debrief there. From P7 to P3, you've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm very happy. David did a very, very great job at the start. Great safety car restart, and yeah, gave me a very great car, very good tires. I bring it to the end pretty well, and the car feels very good.
David, quite an eventful first stint with you with 2 safety cars. How was that?
Yeah, it kind of broke the whole system up a little bit. You got a couple laps, and then it was like, okay, waiting, and then got a couple more laps, and I think I ended up giving him the car about where I got it. So it was, but the car was safe and didn't have anybody right on my back bumper, so that was good, and yeah, just handed it over to him.
Well, congratulations, boys.
Good work by J-Mo. So the Monza circuit takes a breath for a moment. It's a really busy weekend of action for GT fans here, and GT3 cars will be the next onto the circuit. Tomorrow, GT2 races again. It's going to be 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, the race for the GT2 European Series powered by Pirelli. And drivers next will make their way to the podium. We await news as to the start time of the GT3 free practice session, because those cars were due on track 5 minutes ago, but the timetable has slipped a little bit with earlier delays. Plus, also, I think there's the need to get some of the cars from Parc Fermé. So GT2 European Series in Monza. First time out by Antoine Potti for the I4 race team. Join us again tomorrow, race 2, and it should be an absolute stonker here in Italy.